All right, Carol, we're live.
Good afternoon and welcome to the MUZEO's online Lunch and Learn. I'm Carol Latham, the Community Outreach Coordinator for the MUZEO Museum and Cultural Center in Anaheim. And it is our wish that you, your family, and circle of concern are all healthy and well during this uncertain time, and that you stay not only now, but continue to feel that way as well. The MUZEO is a cultural and community hub with a mission to engage the community in exploring and celebrating our diverse heritage, culture, arts. And we do this through a creative educational program system, somewhat like what we're doing today, events and exhibits. And we certainly appreciate you taking the time this afternoon to join us. I'm sure you'll have questions, so be sure to put them into the chat and we'll answer them as efficiently as we can. I want to remind you that the program is being recorded on Facebook Live as well. Joe Purtell is the supervising librarian at the Anaheim Public Library. He has over 18 years of public service at the Anaheim Public Libraries and has a wealth of experience in helping to build a more flexible and responsive library service for all of us to enjoy. I have also had the personal pleasure of working with Joe on a number of community service projects, so I'm delighted to have him join us today to share the news of the Anaheim Public Library. So without further ado, Joe Purtell.
Thank you, Carol. That was very kind. Yeah, we've had the pleasure of working together with the MUZEO on several projects, everything from NEA Big Reads, where we've done some symposiums and talks, the Lunch and Learns, as well as it's been a pleasure to work on the Poet Laureate with you and to get a chance to hear fantastic poetry live at the MUZEO or at the library. So it's been a pleasure working with the MUZEO. So yeah, today, Anaheim Public Library, you know, we're one of the very few libraries, public libraries in California that has offered continued service throughout the entire pandemic. I think we had a total of 1 week where we were closed, and that was only so that we could retool for curbside to get the necessary safety measures in place, get the approvals throughout the city, and to serve our residents. So I think what I'd like to do today is to be able to offer all of our viewers a little behind the scenes tour, a one-of-a-kind experience, and show the power of a city-run library, that we can be nimble, offer a quick pandemic pivot, and serve our residents in meaningful ways. We're exceptionally proud of our city, our community service department, and the library staff, because you know, when we empower our employees to own the services, we get some really, really good programs. And we're going to get a chance to at least show everybody where those programs are, because some of them are archived, most of them, in fact, and also to see some of our staff in action today. So anyways, we're really excited to be here today. And what I'd like to do first is talk a little bit about curbside service, because that's kind of like, that's our main service point with our patrons now. We've got, of course, we're ready to answer the phone and help people during normal business hours, which in today's world are 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. But what I'd like to do is share a little PowerPoint while I'm walking over to curbside service. So I'm going to start that up in just a second here, and talk a little bit about what we've got going. Let me make sure I can get it here. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna start my walk here. So the library, we've got a pretty compelling story during this time. Starting in March, we were closed March 16th, and we took that opportunity to begin some of the infrastructure stuff that we would already have planned. So of course, within the library, you continually have projects going on, including weeding, including staff development. We were able to get in 10 staff development programs during the closure, that 1 week, well, actually a 2-week period. And then we were able to begin our curbside service on March 23rd. So that was just literally 1 week after we were closed. And in April, we were able to start our programming, our public programming. So we had our first open mic, and if you see that still photo on the top, you can see our poet laureate in the top left corner. There's Grant Heyer. We had our first storybooks on Facebook and Instagram, and we were even able to start book distributions alongside our community, alongside existing schools' food distributions. We added the element of, hey, people need to be nourished not just physically, but also mentally. So those kids also got books and treats and resource pages that showed them how to use the library. So now I'm going to take us down from this share. We'll get back to this later, but I wanted to show you what curbside actually looks like. So you can see that we've got literally in our service area an impromptu inventory with curbside service, you know, the patrons' items all bagged up. They're already checked out. They're ready to go. And they call in and they speak to someone like Lisa or Matthew, and they are able to say, hey, I'm here in the parking lot and I'm ready for pickup. And so then staff will grab their items, check that we've got everything, run out to the table that we've got in our parking lot. And that would give you know, the public an opportunity to check out all of our books. And of course, you know, this is a chance to open up the different resources that we have. So besides the books that you would expect us to be checking out to everyone, we also have a bunch of video games that we are glad to share with the kids or adults, and all of our media. You can see we have quite an extensive media room with the latest DVDs and even music. So that's part of what curbside is. And one of the, I did want to take the opportunity to point out some of the special things that we've been able to do with collections. And I think one of the most significant and unique collections in Anaheim Public Library is our zine collection. And Carol, you and I were just reminiscing about the years and years of partnership that Altruza and the MUZEO and the Anaheim Public Library have done together with the Anaheim Elementary School District. And putting out a zine as well. Why don't you show your copy of your zine?
Okay, that's this one.
Yeah. So besides that one, let me introduce Elise Bernal.
Hi.
Elise, you can take off your mask. I'll scoot back a little bit. And Elise, could you tell us a little bit about our zine collection here?
I'm not sure how many people know what they are, but basically a zine, you could kind of think about it as short for magazine. And it's basically self-published and DIY or do-it-yourself. And a lot of them are from local artists. And it's basically a way to kind of amplify voices that may not be published in mainstream media. So our collection is a really good example of that. It has a lot of local Anaheim OC artists. And what's really cool is that at this time, we're actually planning to have the OC Zine Fest happen this Saturday. And then this year it's going to be digital, obviously, because of the circumstances, but it's basically been happening throughout the month of August. We've been promoting programming for local artists through Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. And on Friday, we're going to have an all-day pre-event with lots of workshops, so people could teach their skills about zines, about art making, and about local community aspects. And then on Saturday, we'll have the Zine Fest going all day. We're having live programming. So if anybody's interested in tuning into that, it's going to be full of different workshops about making comics, about what a basic zine is and how to make it if you're interested in doing that. And I just pulled a few examples to kind of show you what's really cool about zines is they come in so many different sizes and shapes. So there's these little mini ones that you can see or large ones, and a lot of it's DIY. I pulled this one to kind of show you an example of a lot of like different magazines that you can use. And it's really cool because through the library, we've been able to do a lot of programs with local youth and teens to kind of help them learn about zines as a form of self-expression. So.
Thank you. Thanks, Elise. Yeah, and we'll look at that on our events page when we get to that. And I'm going to share again, get back to our presentation.
Joe, I do have a question from
please.
one of our visitors, and it has to do with what you were talking about, the curbside delivery.
Yeah,
and she
curbside
wanted
pickup.
to know what are some of the steps that are being taken to ensure that the books, once they are returned, are safe for the next patron.
Well, that is such a good question. It practically leads me to my next location. That's and that was not a rehearsed question either, so that's great. I will show you momentarily what we do.
Okay.
While I'm on my way, I can let you know that in May we introduced the personal reading recommendations, which is a online form where people can request a librarian to literally create a personal reading list for them based on their interests and the genres that they read typically, or that they want to get into. And of course, senior art kits. That's a collaboration. It's actually through the Anaheim Community Impact Grant, which is funded by the Samueli Foundation through the Anaheim Community Foundation at the Sunkist location. So it's a collaboration between Sunkist Library, the Muckenthaler Cultural Arts Center, and we provide 50 senior art kits a month from May all the way through the end of December for seniors. And the picture off to the right shows one of our senior artists who pulled up to show off the picture that was drawn that's in that car window that you can kind of see. All right, so I'm going to stop the share and I'm going to introduce to you our quarantine area. So here's what we do at the Anaheim Libraries. We quarantine our books by date for 4 days. There have been a number of studies that are specifically about library books, the Mylar jackets that they have, plastic coated paper, and how long does COVID-19 last on those. So in an abundance of caution, we're doing a 4-day quarantine, even though most material doesn't need that, but we're doing that just to be extra safe. So that's how it's done. So it doesn't get to another patron. It doesn't even get checked in until it's been quarantined. So, and then on safety, besides the actual quarantine, I have some numbers here. We at the library have had to do a fair amount of supply orders and everything. We've gone through, I think it's over 7,000 of the Clorox wipes, 500 face masks, 27 bottles of hand sanitizer, and 10,000 gloves. So, we take safety very seriously for our staff, for sure. And let me do a screen share again, and we'll get back to our thing. I'm going to take you downstairs to our basement in just a moment. All right. Oops. Sorry. Okay, sorry. And let's go into June while I'm doing my walk-in. So in June, we started our summer reading program. It was completely virtual. we had a lot of school districts that were very excited about promoting the summer reading program. So besides our typical Anaheim school districts, also Centralia and Orange Unified, I think even Placentia or Belinda, they all noted our summer reading programs, so that we got kids from all over that were able to participate since it was all online. You'll notice on the slide, we had our STEAM kit debut as well, and we had over 600 of those dinosaur fossil explorations that were distributed. So that was part of, we've started our STEAM kits in June, and that's been very, very popular. So these are kind of, let's call them relatively inexpensive supply kits that kids can pick up at the library at curbside and take them home, and then they can follow along in the live programming that we offer, and they're able to complete their kit. So now that I'm in a room by myself, I took off my little visor here. You've probably noticed we all wear our masks and visors whenever we're together in the service areas. What I wanted to present is down here in the basement. You know, here's one of the things that we've had to do. I'm gonna stop my share here for a moment. Okay, let's see. And one of the things that we've had to pivot on is how we present our programs. Clearly, it's not safe to do any programming live, but we have needed to do programming, and so we've decided to go virtual, like many other libraries. And I'm going to show you our brand new studio. So this studio is funded again by the Samueli Foundation and the Anaheim Community Foundation as part of their Anaheim Community Impact Grant. So, you know, it's really great that the Central Library was selected to be one of the community impact hubs, because this is where we do our filming for the whole system. And you know, we're really grateful for the flexibility and timeliness of this grant to equip our facility. So, you know, we do everything with Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We received the mics, camera, backdrop, lights, everything that we needed was all through their generosity. And so that's like, you know, a fantastic way that the community has stepped up to help out the library. And I know that there are some questions about how can you know the community help out and step up to help out the library. And right now with the closures, you know, we don't accept donations at our front doors anymore until we reopen. So probably the easiest way is a financial donation, either through the foundation, the Anaheim Community Foundation, the Anaheim Public Library Foundation. Those are ways that the community can help out to help, you know, continue programming and everything. And I got to give a shout out to our own communications team, because in this time we have we've been able to get some accolades. Basically, we were recognized for 3 national awards. All of them are library awards that have to do with our PR and marketing for some of our videos that have advertised our content and our services. So let's see, I want to show you, oops, okay, here we are. So we won the John Cotton Dana Library PR Award, and that was for our promotion last year of the Orange County Zine Fest, where it really showed the community impact and the you know, the way that it's helped our community. Then we also won some PR exchange awards for our Anaheim Ducks partnership with our library card during winter reading, and then the Always on the Go video that's promoting the use of ebooks and audiobooks. So all of that's done. All of those videos are, now our new set of videos will be able to be done here in our studio. So that's one of the unique things that we've got here. I'm going to now take a step up the stairs, two flights of stairs, to get upstairs to show you another one of our services that we've got during this time, which is part of our outreach services. And let's go ahead and, okay. We'll take a look at this. Oh yeah, one of the other neat things that we've been able to do that's unique is story times at Camp Venture. So one of the very few places in the city that did have live public programming for children was through our community services department's Camp Venture. And the library helped out by doing story times there in July. We also did ukulele classes there, which was kind of a unique opportunity for us. And also during July, we started our diversity audit of our young adult collection. And the diversity audit is to make sure that our collection is representative. And it's not just based on race or gender, or it's about abilities, it's about socioeconomic background, it's a true diversity audit. And the goal is that we'll be able to have a collection that's more diverse. And so that's already started. And let's see here. Let me move on a little bit. Okay, here we are. We're contemporary. It's August 2020, and we introduced our senior kindness kits this month. And so a senior kindness kit, what the heck is that? That is it's kind of a grab bag of different things that would be useful for a senior citizen who is socially isolated. So we worked with a couple. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to introduce Keely to be able to talk about that, and we'll go out there and take a look. I left my thing. Unfortunately, I left my mask downstairs, so I'm going to mask up here. Let's go out there. While we're walking, I'll let you know that we also did a ukulele program, a kids program with YMCA over 4 different YMCA facilities, and it impacted, I think, about 80 youth. So at this time, I'm going to stop sharing and turn it over to Keely Hall. I can hold it for you.
Okay. Welcome everybody. My name is Keely Hall. I'm the principal librarian here at the Central Library, administration, and mobile library services. So obviously the mobile library is not out in service right now. Like, our libraries are closed, the bookmobile is out of service, but we have pivoted to continue to provide outreach. And so there's a number of ways we are doing outreach. One of the things that Joe just mentioned was our senior outreach kit. We had a call probably 3 or 4 weeks ago from an isolated senior that begged us to drop books, something off to them. They did not have anybody that could do curbside, and they did not have the electronic resources to be able to go on and use our online resources. So they were desperate for something, and so we decided, let's do a senior outreach. So we picked 2 different mobile home parks, and what we're doing in the bags, and the census gave us bags and materials to use. we put in a hat that was donated to us, and we are calling them kindness kits, and that's stapled on the outside. And I don't know if you can see behind me, but all of those back there are the kindness kits that are going. We did one outreach yesterday for 215 seniors and got a lot of positive feedback on a very hot day, but we were glad to do it. And so in the kits, we're including fiction. That is all these books that we're choosing from here. We do include information about our resources in case they are unaware of them. And then we're including word searches and adult coloring books. So something for them to do. And one senior came out after I dropped it off and thanked me and said, and I'm already starting in on it. They were just so excited to get it. And then we're including the supplies needed, including colored pencils and pencil sharpeners. And then again, our friends at the census have been providing things. So here's some hand sanitizer and different things like that. So that is our senior kits. Called our kindness kits that we're putting together. We have two more outreaches coming up in the next couple of weeks. The other thing that we've been doing are what we call our grab and go STEAM kits. So there's been online programming. And by the way, this is our hub of where we're putting things together. We are on the central floor of the central library. That's normally our quiet zone, but we've turned it into our ability to process and put bags together.
It's our factory.
It's our factory up here. And my staff, the mobile library staff, are back there putting things together. And so one of the things we do, so it's our live STEAM programming. And in that STEAM programming, we provide the supplies needed to go with the live programming. So this one was a couple of weeks ago. But the nice thing is, even if the child misses the program, this happened to be August 13th, it is available by video, so they can log on anytime. And then we provide the supplies. So this one was a paint program, and we provided paint and dowels and tissue paper, again, all of the resource information. And so we include and let them know about the STEAM adventures and the virtual programs that are available. So we put all that in there. The other thing that we did and continue to do at our different libraries is an outreach at the food distribution site. So we're Central's on a hiatus at the moment, but we might go back to it. And that is when they were handing out the food, we had bags like this for the youth that included, again, books that they could keep. We call that our permanent loan collection. And then we provided activities as well in there. And it was just a great opportunity to get out and see our residents and provide literacy resources as well as they were getting the food nutrition resources. And one final thing that the mobile library staff did is part of the mobile library is that our kids don't necessarily have transportation and access to the central library or to any of our branches. So that's why we go into those neighborhoods. So we actually went into several of our stops in the library van and took out these grab and go STEAM kits so that they could participate as well. We also did a pop-up reading program because again, some of our students do not have good Wi-Fi access. And so they were having a hard time doing the online reading program. So we actually printed out paper forms and we would take it out, bring them books to have and encourage them to read. And then we would go back the next week and bring them their prizes. And it was just really exciting to see them all lined up with their little masks on, waiting in their reading lounge and waiting for their prizes. So we've been keeping very busy, and I don't know if Joe's already mentioned it, but we are using donations from the Friends and the Foundation and using those resources to buy these materials come from an organization called First Book that has been instrumental in getting as many, these are adult titles, we have a lot of children's as well, to get books to us at free or reduced costs. And then it's usually we just pay shipping, and that's where we use the donated money, be it Friends Foundation, to get those books to us. So we buy in bulk. Last week we had 8 pallets, full pallets of books out in our parking lot that we processed and that we use and give out as much as we can during these times.
Thank you, Keely.
Wonderful. And I'm just going to share again, get back to the PowerPoint. And that leads us to our, let's see, our upcoming programming. So we have a lot of programming that's upcoming. We haven't gone through any stats, but we've done about 85 different online programs, and we've had over 100, I think it's 140,000 views, which is a pretty good, viewer rate. I'll have to double check that number, but I know that it's very close to that. And our upcoming ones, like we've got the Book to Action series that you can see listed here, is based on a grant that we received, just like our NEA Big Read is based on a grant. We've got the OC Zine Fest coming up this Saturday. Monthly, we're doing medical programming that's hosted by Memorial Care, and at the Haskett branch, they've got a ESL program. Children's programming, we've got the Storytime Mondays that we're going to continue. We're going to start a little pod called the Parent Caregiver Wednesday, a little series. STEAM Adventures Thursday with the Curbside Kits, that's going to continue for sure. Digital Resource Friday, that will highlight some of our online resources that we've got. And then we're going to be starting local programs. That would mean like your branch library might be doing a program where if you're interested in attending that Zoom program, you shoot an email to that librarian and they'll issue you an invite for that program. So we're going to be doing localized programming as well as our system-wide programming. And then Keely was talking about the permanent loan. So this just shows, hey, that's how many books. We've distributed over 40,000 books at 64 different sites since COVID. And we partner with amazing groups, the YMCA, Grandma's House of Hope, of course, Anaheim Elementary, of course, Anaheim Union High School Districts. And, it's been a really, really, I guess, pleasurable experience for everyone, I would say. And, I think one of the next questions is, where do we go from here? And, our hope is that when it's safe, we'll be able to reopen physically, open the doors back to the public and let everyone in. And when we do that, we're going to be absolutely safe. That's our primary objective, is to make sure that, staff and patrons have what's appropriate to maintain their own safety. Of course, people are going to have to be responsible for themselves as well. They'll be required to wear masks when they're inside. We'll have to have new services will basically begin to be offered at a limited, kind of like, let's consider it a walk-through library first. Maybe it's limited to an hour. Maybe it's, come in, browse, get your books, check out, and go. We probably won't have seating or much seating available for people outside of the computers. But, as things become more safe, we would, of course, reopen more and more to deliver everything that we can to the public. That's our ultimate goal, is to be able to get back to, completely safe library service that we all know and love. It'll be a ways before we get there. So, I showed you curbside service, and I at least want to let you know that we've circulated over 40,000 items through curbside since we've been closed. 40,000 items. We've had over 10,500 deliveries. And just as an interesting note, Canyon Hills branch is busier than Central as far as pickups for curbside delivery. And it's been so popular, not just with Anaheim, but within neighboring communities, that people have called us saying, hey, can I get a library card and check out books from your library, even though I don't live here? And we actually have a way for people to do that. So we've had at least 70 people who are living in other communities apply for and get a library card with us so that they could check out our materials, which has been kind of it's been kind of nice to be able to have that opportunity to share our resources with neighboring communities. And I think that was most important in those April, May months when other libraries were closed, but we did have all of our safety measures in place. So we were able to provide that for them. At this time, if it's okay, I would like to maybe share where can you go, for instance, to see the programs, to get access to all of our stuff. Let's see here. I think, sorry, what I'm going to try to do here is do another screen share of the Anaheim Public Library website. And I'll start from the web. So here we are. We just did a Google search, Anaheim Public Library. If you just go to our website, here we are. This is our library. It says it's temporarily closed. Where do you find out what's going on nowadays? If you hover over about, you'll notice that we've got library services during coronavirus. And if you click on that link, that takes you to our website that conveniently lists everything we've got going and all of our resources. So besides the library news, where we talk about our awards and what we're doing with diversity, inclusion, and race, and our virtual library programs, you can see the continued services. This is where people can call in, the curbside, plus all of our digital resources. The digital resources that we offer are fantastic. They are world-class products. I at least want everybody to know that your children, your grandchildren can get free homework help using BrainFuse. They can connect to live tutors from 1 p.m. to 10 p.m. daily and have access to credentialed teachers who will use the whiteboard to walk students through their questions and help them with answers. And if children are having trouble with an essay, for example, they won't write the essay for them. The children have to submit the essay and get back notations the following day. It's not going to be anything like, a rewrite. It's going to be adding notes so that the kids would know what they have to do to make their writing better. So that's BrainFuse, very popular with parents who frankly don't remember the last thing about something they took 30 years ago. Then we've got Pronunciator. You can practice or learn 99 different languages. And what's so cool about that is that you can learn it from 60 some home languages. So if you speak Laotian and you want to learn French, you could easily do that through Pronunciator. If you spoke German and wanted to learn Spanish, no problem. So of course, Arabic is in there, Spanish, English, all of the major languages, and everything that's not a major language as well. Gale courses, this is fantastic for adults that are retooling their career or just want personal enrichment. There's over 350 courses that are instructor-led. They're online, they're very flexible courses, 12 lessons each typically, and they take place over the course of 6 weeks with an additional 2-week catch-up period if necessary. But they start new each month, about mid-month. So Gale courses is fantastic. Our most popular courses are accounting and sign language and Excel within Anaheim. But they have literally 350 more courses. Testing and Education Reference Center, super good stuff for anybody who is high school or college, because it's got all of the AP tests, the SAT test prep, it's got online test prep books, it has practice tests, and as well, we recently purchased a new module that allows people to enter their interests and find out which careers might be good for them. So all of these resources, plus a bunch of children's ones, like Tumble Books, are all available on our website. You can use that with a library card. And if your grandchild or your son or daughter goes to Anaheim Elementary School District, those students can all log in without a library card just by using their student email prefix. So mine would be jpurtell07 or whatever at AESD. It would just be that prefix, and they can log in and use all of our resources. And for the Anaheim Union High School District, they can also do that using their student ID. Borrower guidelines. This basically lets people know that, hey, you're not going to accrue any fines during the coronavirus pandemic. When we're closed, don't worry, we got your back. You're not going to accidentally get fined for books that you forgot. Of course, we've got the curbside. We've got a video here on how to place holds so that people can do that. And then our virtual programs. So on our virtual programs, this is our August lineup of different events that we've got for children and families, for teen and adults, including our STEAM programs, our STEAM adventures. We've had, so here's the actual stats. We've had 85 programs so far and over 194,000 views. Our most popular program so far has been a hieroglyphics program with 23,000 views, followed by an origami lab with 16,000 views. But STEAM Adventures typically rack up 10,000 views a pop just because those are so well received across ages. So feel free to connect with us online for any of these virtual programmings. Outreach, this just includes what Keely went over. Reading recommendations, here's the form if you wanted to go ahead and get a personalized reading list from one of our librarians here at Anaheim. That's all possible. Senior art kits we talked about as well, and then of course in Espanol, all of the same information has been translated so that we can make it accessible to everyone. So Carol, I would be glad to take any questions that you've got or that any of our...
Well, this has been really very informative and eye-opening. And one of the questions that came up was whether we, the Anaheim Public Library is sort of the trailblazer for some of these programs, since all the libraries are closed, but we're offering such supportive and wonderful programming, curbside as well as online. Are we the trailblazers for this program, or are you aware of others that are doing the similar things or the same?
Similar, definitely. I think what makes us trailblazing, a number of things. Number one, we were not, we positioned ourselves slowly for curbside. So we didn't hop in 3 weeks earlier like some libraries did, but we made sure that we had all of our safety measures in place and approved, within the city of Anaheim structure to make sure that we were going to be able to do this throughout the whole pandemic. And we got approval for that. So literally in California, we were one of the very handful of libraries that was able to offer service throughout the entire pandemic. With our virtual programming, absolutely. We are at the forefront of doing high quality programming. Now, there's a lot of libraries out there that have programming. We insist on having a high level of quality with our video production for our programming. So I think we spend more time and make sure that we have a tighter product at the end on all of our system-wide programming. Also, the fact that we do this hybrid programming where pick up a kit and we'll do a live program with it, that I'm not aware of other libraries doing. Now, it may be that there are, and I just don't know, but the fact that we have been so responsive to our community, when community partners have said, hey, we're doing live programming at Camp Venture, could you do some fun stuff with our kids? And we said, hey, how about our ukulele university? We've got 150 ukuleles, and you've got how many kids? We can do this. And so, you know, things like that are ways that I don't even know if innovative is the exact, if we were hitting the nail on the head, I think responsive would be the best way to describe what our programming is. And I think that is the part that makes me proud to be a City of Anaheim employee, that we can be responsive to our residents in ways that perhaps other jurisdictions don't have that buy-in, that flexibility, but we do.
Yes, yeah. And you mentioned the other libraries, you know, Central as well as Sunkist and Haskett, and you have on the screen the others that are available. But I'm wondering, are the needs on each of the libraries the same, or are they completely different? I guess it depends on the community.
It definitely does depend on the community. You know, as far as community needs, absolutely. We always do things as a system and as a branch. We reserve that flexibility for the branches to be able to be uniquely connected to their communities. For instance, we have started to renew our Arabic language collection during this time. We've purchased several $1,000s worth of books. That's part of actually our equity and diversity ventures. Some of the ways that we have applied that within our library, looking at the demographics, making sure that everything we have is accessible, and really working hard to make sure that we're representing the community. And of course, that goes with staffing as well, and some of our upcoming plans, but within our services that we provide and the collection.
Okay. And how can community members volunteer or support the library in ways that are meaningful and purposeful during this time?
That's a wonderful question, and thank you so much for thinking of that and thinking of us. Well, right now, since we are physically closed and we're doing everything you know, with just employees, we're not having, you know, our friends in the library or foundation members within the library, but certainly those are our support organizations that, for instance, the foundation does normally, they would have done their, well, they had their 25th mystery author luncheon that was all scheduled for April and had to be canceled. And it was a fantastic lineup. That was their biggest fundraiser for us for the entire year. It was yet another casualty of what happens. I'm sure that the foundation is working on plans to, you know, create more flexibility, new opportunities, but certainly anybody who wanted to help the library could contribute directly to the Anaheim Public Library Foundation. And that would be wonderful. The Anaheim Community Foundation as well is a broader organization that you know, funds us and community services and other ventures. That's where the Samueli Foundation used that to help us with those 2 grants that I showed you, the senior art kits as well as the studio.
And then normally you would have been
volunteers,
having your book sale, which also helps to.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we haven't been able to do that either. So I think probably the best way, if someone really did want to help, would be perhaps a donation through the Anaheim Public Library Foundation. And you saw the books that we were able to distribute. Like I said, over 40,000 of those. So our Anaheim Public Library Foundation does have a website, anaheimlibraryfoundation.com, that people could go to and support the library through that. As far as volunteering, we are literally working through that right now as far as how can we have our teen volunteers work. And some of the ideas that have come out are, okay, well, we're going to have to do almost all of it virtually. We can't picture any safe way without liability for these students. We don't want to get anyone sick. We don't want anyone getting us sick. So we're looking at virtual opportunities for teens. Over the summer, we had a few teen volunteers, not volunteers, actually, they were interns, and they helped on video editing. So if there's any teens out there who are familiar with Adobe Premiere Pro and they have editing experience, oh, heck yeah, give them my cell phone number. We want them. We're trying to put out so many programs, and the production time is always, the problem. So we could always use help with that. But we're thinking of having teens do, read a book, do a little book talk and submit it. And then we vet it and say, yep, content's clear and cool, post it. So we're thinking of ways that we can make it meaningful, because clearly we want it to be meaningful.
Yeah. Well, one of the unusual campuses, you could say, of the Anaheim Public Library is Arctic.
Yes.
And so would you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. We have basically an elaborate vending machine at Arctic's called Books on the Go. Currently, it's actually stocked with DVDs as well. So no rentals during this time period. We've made our entire collections available for free, and we've tried to connect with people for what kinds of medias they want. So we've done books for years in that vending machine. Now we've got some DVDs in there just to change it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. I know that over the years, the library has also had a very robust book club. And are you doing the book club now?
Yes,
in a virtual way? And and you've also had the authors come in and various times and read and discuss their books. So how is that going to be working?
Yes. So yes, we've had our book clubs continually in operation via Zoom. So all of those book clubs already had membership. Like I can think of, for instance, the Central Library. Typically during a live book club, we've had, let's say, 10 to 15 members pre-COVID. But we've got a list of the 50 people that have participated since it began a couple years ago. So we emailed everybody, let them know, hey, we're moving it to Zoom. Here's the link, join us there. And we're averaging 6 to 8 people on a Zoom book club. So clearly fewer people, but for those people, a wonderful opportunity to create community, to be part of a wider group. And it offers that little bit more nourishment. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where we're headed. That's where we want to go. We want to be more of the community connector. And that's why I would urge you guys to join us on, any of our virtual programs and connect by social media.
And, would you give us the website again for them to be able to do that?
Absolutely. So let me do my screen share here for a second. Okay. It says I'm screen sharing. Am I?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So virtual programming's right here, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You can connect directly on the programs themselves and view and participate in any of those programs.
Fantastic. Well, I've thoroughly enjoyed the tour of the library, and that was a very creative way of doing this particular program. So thank you so very much.
Oh, you're welcome, Carol.
And I don't know if there's anything else that you might want to share before I close today's presentation. Is there anything you've forgotten?
There's just one more little item that I want to put out there. You know, the library really is, if you had to take the whole essence of a library and boil it down to one word, that word would be access.
Mhm.
We're all about access. And since we're not open, we feel terrible about that, especially because we had so many people who relied on us for free Wi-Fi. And one thing that we do have that we've changed is our public Wi-Fi routers are on from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. so that if anybody needed to connect to the internet for free and couldn't do that for whatever reason, they could at least come to our parking lot and have access to Wi-Fi. It's a small thing, but it's just one more accessible way that we support our residents.
You know, I think that word is very profound, because that has been my experience with the library system. That's been my experience with the staffing of the library, whether it has been through the MUZEO or through Altrusa or any of the other community events that I've been privileged to be a part of. And so I think accessibility is, you've hit it on the head with that one. So before we close, let me remind you about the website. Link to the library will be on our MUZEO, www.museo.org website. And we would really love for you to let us know if your thoughts on this program. We want to continue to provide relevant programs to the community, especially during these times. And if you can let us know that we're on the right track, that would be so appreciated. If you'd like to support the MUZEO as well, you know, there's a donate button on our website, and you can access us through Instagram or Facebook account as well. I want to thank you, Berkendo. Wouldn't you know it? My office phone's ringing. But thank you, Berkendo, for your work behind the scenes, and without a doubt to you, Joe, for sharing such amazing services that are being provided by the Anaheim Public Library. Special thank you to our audience, not only the ones that are on the Zoom, but the ones that are on Facebook Live, and not only now today, but will zoom in and check us out on our Facebook and our YouTube channel. Thank you so very much. The public library is such a community hub that it's really a wonderful resource. And I read a quote recently that said that people who don't read are no better off than people who can't read. So go out there, get your library card, whether it's online through their services online, and participate. Support them in any way that you can. Thank you to our audience for joining us today and tuning in. On behalf of the MUZEO, we wish you will stay safe, stay well, and stay healthy until our next time. Thank you all. Joe, why don't you hang on after everyone's gone?